A nice low pony.
I love a good low pony.
I fucking hate that. It's just so goddamn ugly.
Do you know what I saw yesterday? I saw a thing.
Was it me with a low pony?
No, but it was Hailey Bieber wearing basketball shorts, socks, and then like designer fashion flats. Not even like a good pair of Adidas slides, but like some Steve Madden slides.
I watched another. Did I send you that video of their wedding where he could not be prevailed upon to attend? Like they tried. He didn't want to be. And then she's like, I am.
Yeah, and then
he was like crying.
She had this massive, and this is where I feel almost bad for her. So she had like that partnership with Krispy Kreme. And first of all, she can't be seen eating a donut. She's going like this. And, you know, she took it back out and threw it away. And then he wore Crocs. She wore like a fucking homecoming dress.
To Krispy Kreme?
She had Road Beauty or whatever has like a partnership with Krispy Kreme. And
first off, I'm not okay. She's not my favorite person. Don't love her. Whatever. She's got some weird shit going on. That stuff, the Tower 28 that Road Beauty makes, is so.
Well, she's not really a chemist, you know.
Yeah.
So she probably has a good product.
Makes it, she promote whatever. That shit is so good. Mm-hmm. If you have shitty skin, I have shitty skin. What? Oh, I don't know what kind of shitty skin is. Could not tell you. That stuff is so nice.
We have to change.
My mother bought that for me, and that shameless plug for that stuff.
Welcome to Read It and Screech, the podcast where
you won't find Prince Charming or a damsel in distress within these pages. So if that's what floats your boat, I kindly encourage you to move along. That felt like a rap.
This is the Plot Summary Podcast, where if you're too loud and you have no standards, you can sit with us while we summarize plots, screech about the audacity, and forget for a moment that the world is on fire around us. I'm Grace, and this is my co-host, Ava. So what we have this week, indeed, is actually an indie author. I made an exception due to the fact that it had over 40,000 good reviews on Goodreads. And so it truly doesn't matter what we think about this book. Okay, so we're summarizing Sinners Anonymous by Soma Sketcher. There are 348 pages. It is 14 hours and 8 minutes long on audio. And it's narrated by Lee Daniels and Alan Carlson. The audio narration is fine. There's no spit. There's no phlegm. She does pronounce pianist as pianist. And I do hate that because there's several instances where there is a pianist and they just say pianist. It has 3.8 stars on Goodreads. The setting is a small coastal town in Washington. It is called Devil's Den. Everything in this area is named Devil's something. So there's Devil's Cove, Devil's Hollow. Everything is Devil's something. The beach is the Devil's Coast. And if you were to order a slice of bread in the morning, it would be Devil's Toast. Devil's Roast.
Devil's Host.
Devil's Dip. Something unique about the town is that at some point, these weird business cards began popping up all around with a phone number.
It's a bargainer working here too.
I thought of that. And the name Sinners Anonymous on it. If you call it, it's just a voicemail where you can get stuff off of your chest. There's nothing suspicious about this, and everyone participates. Oh, and a first-person point of view, alternating. There's two main characters. We have Angelo, played by Tom Hardy. He's 36 years old. He's rich and broody. His daddy ended up taking the least appealing region on the Devil's Coast. When 3 crime families took over, his pops got the worst one.
Okay.
However, ever the entrepreneur, his dad still made a shitload of money importing black market goods, and he kept the town under his thumb by pretending to be a priest and collecting their deepest, darkest secrets through the confessional.
Which is those cards?
Not yet. Our second main character is Rory, played by Sydney Sweeney. She's in her very early 20s, and she is engaged to this disgusting, abusive old man, Alberto, who happens to be Angelo's uncle.
Ew.
She used to want to be a pilot, but now she's sold her virginity to this gross old man in exchange for him taking care of her ailing father, who lives in a cabin at the local...
Under the sea.
the local forest preserve. And she also is marrying him in exchange for him not logging all of the land in Devil's Den. So she's basically the Lorax.
She speaks for the trees.
She speaks for the trees. We start off with a prologue. 9 years in the past, a melodramatic double funeral of Angelo's parents. Mom was poisoned by a townie, and Dad died of a brain bleed 3 days later.
Me too, bro.
Everyone is gathered around like the Lion King saying, look, this creaky old town is yours. And he says, I don't fucking want it. Goodbye. He waits until everyone leaves the funeral and then tells the people who work in the cemetery to dig up his mom so he can take her somewhere else. 9 years later in the present day, Rory is standing on the edge of a cliff by the cemetery, contemplating jumping off of it. Her bodyguard lets her spend 2 hours alone every week in exchange for him openly leching on her. While on the cliff, someone tells her...
There's a scene in the current Game of Thrones where the girl gets info from this dude and stuff in exchange for he wants to look at her feet. It's like modern day foot porn. So he always wants to look at her feet, and then it evolves because then he wants to touch her feet, and then he wants to like jerk off on her feet. Oh, and then, like it's grosser and grosser. Oh, here for a hearty lech.
Mm-hmm. While on the cliff, someone tells her, are you trying to fall or fly? He gives her the creeps and then tells her suicide is a sin. But then he leaves her alone. She calls the Sinner's Anonymous hotline to get some things off of her chest. It is notable that the oaky aftershave that he's wearing makes her nipples tighten.
Oh!
And this stranger turns out to be Angelo. After the tight nipples, she goes to dinner with her fiance, Alberto, and he's fucking disgusting.
He doesn't make her nipples do that.
He doesn't. Very soft nipples around him. The other people in the family all call her a gold digger. The guest of honor pops up, and it's guess who?
Nipple boy.
It is oaky aftershave tight nipples. We find out that she's been spitting in Alberto's mouthwash to get back at him for being an all-around dick.
I don't really think that would bother him.
I don't think so
think
either.
He would probably enjoy it if he found out.
He's
probably paying someone else to do the same thing.
She's also been running his legal documents under the sink to mess them up. Everybody's so creative.
See how we probably wasn't supposed to do that, but we did.
So Alberto manhandles her at dinner, and she is miffed that Angela was just going to let her jump off the cliff. After dinner, she's talking with one of the teenagers from the family, and the teen rips off this pearl necklace and tosses it on the table in a really entitled fashion. And she says, oh, this is just annoying me, and she just rips it off and tosses it on the table. Rory does not miss a beat, and she tucks it under one of her titties and then goes outside for air. Smoke show Angelo is out there, and he notices the lumpy necklace in her tit.
Booby pearls.
And he snatches it up out of her bra and tells her that stealing is a sin.
Girl, stop doing so many sins.
Nasty ass Alberto makes her come sit in his lap.
I'm sorry. You know what I hate?
Tight nipples.
That is given. But you cannot be out here naming people of significance that similar of names.
Yeah.
Because fuck you.
You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have, you're not supposed to have, John and Josh and Jim. You're supposed to have very different names.
Angelo and Alberto, which one?
Right. Nasty ass Alberto makes her come sit on his lap while he enjoys an after-dinner cigar with the boys. He tells all of them that she's a virgin.
He sounds like that absolutely foul man from Game of Thrones who's always like,
Is everything in Game of Thrones today?
He's like, I got to marry this 15-year-old, and look at how nice her titties are. Aren't you mad I got to marry her and you didn't? And everyone's like, no.
Everything is Game of Thrones.
First off, until you watch it, yes.
At least there's no virginity checker.
First off, yes.
Everyone wants to know why Angelo is in town because he's been MIA since his parents died about 10 years ago. Turns out he moved to London and instantly became a billionaire. He catches a glimpse of Rory's bodyguard trying to lech on her and assumes that she's cheating on his uncle Alberto.
Obviously, that's what I would have assumed.
Rory has a modern-day lady-in-waiting. She's this old lady who clearly has a crush on gross-ass Alberto. While coming down the stairs for Sunday dinner, she hears him talking to his lawyer, calling her an idiot bimbo, and talking about altering the contract that they had where she agreed to marry him in exchange for him taking care of her sick dad. Angelo catches her eavesdropping and tells her that snooping is a sin. Her bodyguard then tries to shake her down for some sexual favors, and Angelo walks in while she's trying to punch him in the face. It does not look good, this situation. During dinner, the bodyguard keeps on grabbing at her under the table. So Angelo sees this and he tells her to stand up and take 3 steps to the left. And he takes out a gun and shoots the guy in the head and then goes back to stuffing ham into his mouth.
Ew!
Despite this, she thinks to herself that Angelo wouldn't piss on her if she were on fire. They're all concerned that Rory might have a concussion because she passed out, but no one is concerned about this man who was murdered at the Sunday dinner table. They say that the reason for killing Max was that he was a traitor, and she says, "Oh, how could you know that?" And they say, well, he probably called the town hotline and confessed it. And this is the first time that she realizes that telling a random voicemail her deepest, darkest secrets may not have been a good idea. Turns out, Angelo and his brothers had this game where they hide in the church and listen to people's confessions. Then once a month, they decide that whatever the worst one was, they're going to just off that person. This is where the whole Sinners Anonymous thing was born.
Nobody gives a shit that they're offing people?
No. And Sinners Anonymous has gone worldwide. So just like in the world, and they're so rich they can just go murder people.
Is it a company?
No, it's just a grift. So Angelo's brothers want to play the game while he's in town. Rory is freaking out about anything she's ever said to this hotline. She goes to see a friend and gives that friend a bag of things that she's swiped from the family throughout the duration of this weird engagement. Says if anything happens, please sell this and use the money to take care of my dad. This falls under the category of plot lines that wouldn't exist if we just had universal health care. Alberto is not going to let her go see her dad anymore since her bodyguard was shot. She tries to seduce him into letting her go, but he says, "I'm not turned on by someone dressed like Adam Sandler."
Oh my god.
Because she's wearing sweats. Angelo walks in on this failed seduction attempt and offers to take her, which is fair because it's pretty much his fault she doesn't have a chaperone anymore.
Pretty much?
Yeah, because he shot the guy.
So entirely, not pretty much.
Well, yeah. He tells her that being a whore is a sin and asks what his uncle must have on her since she's marrying his nasty ass. He goads her into telling him one of her sins, and she tells him that she's been...
Why would he need to goad her if he's literally seen her do like 7 things that he considers a sin?
I have no idea. She tells him she's been cutting tiny holes in Alberto's suit pockets so that he loses his keys all the time. The whole time this is happening, she has to sleep in the bed with Alberto, and that is so fucking disgusting. She's really into Angelo's oaky aftershave as well. She's very embarrassed that he saw her fail at seducing the uncle, and he starts calling her a magpie and also a very bad girl.
Ew.
I hate magpie.
Magpie makes more sense than very bad girl.
Cow pie is all that makes me think of.
Magpies steal shiny things.
She is like supposed to be really innocent, and so she refuses to use curse words. So she uses what she calls bird words. So instead of saying like, "Oh crap," she'll be like, "Oh crow," or "Holy crow."
I hate that.
So Angelo...
How many people read that and started doing that, do you think?
Many. Angelo is uncontrollably horny for her, but he does find her annoying. Ow. When he drops her off...
Me too, man.
He's disgusted by the way the uncle gropes her. So he says he'll take her to see her dad every week if she will help him find the townie who poisoned his mom. He keys Alberto's Rolls Royce on his way out, and Rory sees this. He says...
It's a sin! I would have been staring at him. That was a sin! That was a sin! That was a sin!
He says that he has a rule book as thick as his own dick when it comes to women.
How did I know he was going to say that?
I guess we're supposed to find that impressive.
First off,
the width of an orbit stick of gum.
Right. I think we'll be aight.
So at this weird poker game later that week, Angelo hears some townies talk about how Rory was famous in high school for letting some guys run train on her.
Oh, no!
Just for shits and giggles, he has them shot. He takes the news that she may not really be a virgin personally, and I feel like if you care that...
As he should!
I feel like if you care that much, then you deserve to be lied to.
First off, she wasn't lying to him directly. She lied to his uncle.
Turns out, however, that the reason that she has that reputation is because when she was taking the test to get into aviation school, she was the only girl there, and the 5 guys that she was taking the test with tried to assault her. She bit one of their ears off and then blinded one of them in one eye as well. I guess they were embarrassed they got their ass whipped by her.
And
they
even
told
if she
everybody.
had slept with all of them, they don't get to then later be like, man, fuck that girl.
No. Later that week.
And then be shot over it. Like, the fuck?
The guys who were talking about it were not the guys who did it.
Right.
So it is true that perhaps
point.
they didn't deserve to be shot.
Right. Even if she had slept with everyone in her class for kicks and giggles, they shouldn't kill them over it later because they were discussing the enjoyable time that they had.
The guys that were going to assault her, they can get punished.
That wasn't who was being punished.
That is not. That's correct. So later that week at a family dinner, Rory and Angelo bond over a cigarette outside. And he asks her who she would rather kiss, him or his uncle.
Oh my God.
I am so embarrassed for him that he said this. Then he goes, oh, I was just kidding.
No,
this is literally like all of us when we were in like middle school, when we were like, LOL, I think you're cute. And then we were like, oh, I was just kidding. My sister took my phone. That's what that sounds like. He goads her into telling another sin, and she tells him about spitting into Alberto's mouthwash.
Again, something I think that man's paying for anyway.
That's probably part of their contract.
Right.
She finally admits to herself that she does have a crush on Angelo. I'm a little bit curious as to why Alberto is not bothered by the fact that his very attractive nephew is getting along really well with this young, hot fiance.
If you are a 95-year-old man and you have a 25-year-old girlfriend, I have to feel like you're under no delusions.
I guess.
I have to feel like that. Like, you weren't born stupid.
So she finally admits to herself that she has a crush on him. He is not so self-aware, and he's in full denial. Some of the other family members have noticed how horny he is for her, and his brother says that maybe he should back off a little bit from his soon-to-be aunt.
Not if it's Game of Thrones.
A few days later, she goes for a swim in the cold-ass water outside the house.
Cold-ass water? They just casually keep ass water? No,
but it's like October in Washington State.
And they keep ass water outside.
So she goes...
What is it? A pond, a pool, lake, a river, asphalt puddle outside? What is it?
Devil's Coast. It's the coast.
The beach?
Yes. Devil's Beach.
The ass water.
She goes for a swim and touches herself while out in the water in the most awkward way possible.
No.
She looks over to the shore and sees Angelo watching her.
First off, if I saw someone doing that in cold ass water, I too would watch.
And then and I need to quote her. She says, I slipped a finger into my hole.
No.
She says, I slip a finger into my hole.
First off, absolutely not.
At first, when she notices that Angelo's there, she's so embarrassed that she tries to swim out to sea, as she should.
As you should.
Then she decides, fuck it, and continues thinking he must not have noticed what she was doing.
Then you should stop and count your blessings.
So after the fact, she's going inside to change into her real clothes, and he sticks his hand in the tie of her bikini bottom and tells her that if she was his woman, he would spank her ass for dressing like that in front of other men. After he takes her to see her dad, he says, okay, you have to tell me another sin. She panics and tells him that when she was in the water earlier, she was fingering herself and thinking about him. And then she tries
I didn't need to know that because I already saw it.
She runs away and he tells her that he likes her hair curly because she always has to straighten it for that nasty uncle. It is the most wonderful time of the year. So it's the time where Angelo and his brother are going to punish the sinners. They take their prey of the month to the woods and decide to hunt him as his punishment. But one of the brothers actually just blows him up instead. The brothers are trying to convince Angelo to move back.
Yeah, look at all the weird ass fun we have.
Angelo says he would rather slam his dick in a car door than move back.
You know what? We share that in common because I too would rather slam your dick in a car door than ever read this book again.
They point out that if he hadn't left 10 years ago, maybe Rory would be marrying him to save the forest instead of Alberto. She bribes one of Alberto's lackeys into taking her out on the town, clubbing on Halloween. While she's out, she happens upon Angelo in the office of one of the clubs while she's looking for the bathroom. She touches herself while he watches.
Girl, you gotta stop. This is you know what this makes me wonder? How many times I was out in public and people were doing this?
Oh, I know.
Girl!
As we speak, there's somebody touching themselves in the
outed
ocean.
it.
I'm gonna quote some important points. Wet heat pools between her thighs. He lowers onto his haunches and she says,
I'm sorry. No!
She says, "Oh, goose." And then she says, "Oh, swan." And then he smells her bra. And the narrators really gave their all in the audio version of this. They were really going for that Oscar.
First off, I'm going to give it my all as I vomit.
He gets a boner and leaves abruptly.
He took him that long?
And she says that this is her last weekend before spending the rest of her life with that old man.
Rest of her life? You mean the rest of his life? He gonna die a lot faster than you, the fuck?
I was literally thinking that. I'm like, okay, he's 70. It's like before you spend maybe 10 years.
Right.
And then you still have your looks, but also probably his money.
The average life expectancy of a human person is 85. And also, you could help it along. You're real good at spitting his mouthwash. Swallow a little something first.
So Alberto...
Take him on that cold water plunge you just went on. He won't survive that. His heart can't take it.
Alberto lets it slip when Angelo comes to pick her up to see her dad that he actually lied to Rory about the preserve being his territory to make her obligated to marry his disgusting motherfucking ass. After she sees her dad this time, she and Angelo meander into the old church where his dad used to be the corrupt priest.
Guess what? That's a sin.
They rationalize the horrifying interaction the night before by saying, "Oh, we didn't even touch each other, so it doesn't count." He tells her about their weird Sinners Anonymous game, and she is so sad that she can't confess to that weird hotline anymore because that was really important to her character as a person. He says, "Well, why confess when you can just let me spank you as punishment?"
Because I would rather be hit by a car than let you touch me.
Would you rather have your dick slammed in a car door?
I would.
And so it comes to pass that he spanks her right there in the church, and then he edges her and leaves her high.
I hope that church down so that no one else ever has to go in it.
He edges her and leaves her high and dry. There is liberal use of the phrase "my hole." Later on, at the engagement party, she has snuck out onto the beach. Angelo sniffs around for a good lech and asks her for another sin. She tells him that she promised her mom on her deathbed that she would only marry for love. Meanwhile, more people are noticing that Angelo and Rory are horny for each other. It's been 3 weeks, and this was not the sin that Angelo was looking for. Everyone in that family pretty much hates Alberto, so they don't care so much that Angelo and Rory like each other. But they do say that it would make things awkward and no one wants to choose sides if something were to happen between them.
I'm sorry, what sin was he looking for?
He just wants something horny. He was like, "Tell me a sin," and she thought she was going to be like, "Yeah, I stuck something up my coot pretending it was your wiener."
I'm sorry.
And instead she said, "I promised my mom I would marry for love." He's like, "Well, damn, that wasn't hot at all." The next day there's a little memorial service to commemorate 10 years of Angelo's parents being not on Earthside. And with no prompting, Angelo tells Rory that he's the one that killed his own dad because he found out that his dad ordered the hit on the mom. She says, "Oh, I thought he died of a brain bleed." And he says, "Yeah, I shot him, so then his brain bled." He warns her that Alberto is a piece of shit just like his dad was. Rory is a little bit creeped out by his behavior. The next time he takes her to see her dad, she asks him to go into the church and spank her again.
No!
He says he won't unless she's been a bad girl, so she keys his car a tiny bit to provoke him. Her voice...
Is that a sin?
Her voice wraps around his cock like a vice. It works! The keying his car works, only this time he spanks her across the hood of the car instead of taking her into the church. She says, "We're going to hell." And he says, "I'm already there." A few days later, they're cleaning out Angela's parents' old house, and Rory shows up with Alberto's son. She meanders over to the personal airplane hangar and ogles their airplane. She tries to convince him to get her off with a pen.
Oh my God!
You wouldn't like it if someone just dragged a nice bick up your leg?
Absolutely not.
So Angelo calls, during this interaction, Angelo calls Alberto a cunty old pervert in front of his son, actually.
How old is the son?
They're the same age as Angelo, because that's his uncle.
Well, then I don't feel bad.
Yeah. Rory says, "Cluck yeah." Angelo shares her love of airplanes and also wanted to be a pilot. He is suddenly jealous of any guys she may or may not have fucked in high school.
Not suddenly. He has been since he killed those people.
He fills his soul with her scent. Alberto comes in while she's getting dressed later on and roughs her up. She confronts him about changing the clause in the contract. He says it doesn't matter anyway because the preserve isn't even his land, and he punches her in the face. At dinner later, it's super awkward, and they are all alone in till Alberto's son comes in and says, "Sorry, I'm late. I just didn't want to be here."
Me too.
Angelo finally does show up. He's jealous and Alberto is drunk. She's mad that Angelo didn't tell her that the preserve was actually his territory. So she decides she's going to spite fuck the 70-year-old man and let him put it in her ass. Angelo will not have that.
Oh, really? What was offered to you? You will not have that. Exactly.
He goes outside and sets Alberto's Rolls Royce on fire to distract them so that she can't let him put it in her ass. She's more upset with Angelo for not telling her that the preserve was his than she is with Alberto for being an all-around cunty old pervert. The reason that Angelo didn't tell her was because he knew that Alberto was a cunty old pervert, and it really didn't matter that the preserve truly wasn't his. He's probably going to try to off Rory if he gets what he wants from her anyway, so he's just trying to bide his time a little bit. She says her first curse word when she tells Angelo to fuck himself. I'm proud of her. People are a tiny bit suspicious about who blew up the Rolls Royce, but Alberto's own son ends up covering for Angelo. Angelo tells her he's going to get her out of having to marry Alberto, but then immediately goes MIA to the point where when she calls him, the number is disconnected. Thank the merciful heavens above, Alberto tells her that they shouldn't sleep in the same bed anymore until their wedding. So the wedding day does come, and she's heartbroken that Angelo said he would help her, then disappeared. She runs away. Alberto's son actually ends up giving her the keys to his car so she can run. She goes to that cliff that she was looming over at the beginning. Angelo finally pops back up and yanks her away from the edge. He tells her he's back and he's taking her home and he's going to marry her instead.
Ugh.
She tells him that she wasn't going to jump. The thing that she's felt so guilty about that she had to keep calling that hotline for was that she was planning to call Alberto, thinking that he would be so embarrassed that she ran away from the wedding that he would come and try to get her and she was going to push him off the cliff. So she's been standing over the edge of it every so often to see, is it a far enough drop for him to die if I push him off? So the nephews, being Angela's brothers, have heard her planning this for months through the hotline and just not said anything because everyone hates Alberto. So they were rooting for her the whole time. Angelo goes to Alberto's house and shoots him in the head in front of his sons.
Okay.
He gets away with it because he had convinced Alberto to write them out of the will. And if they say anything about Angelo killing him, he'll just have all their money taken away. Angelo and Rory finally have sex, and it's fine. She tells him about the boys that tried to assault her, and obviously he's going to try to kill them. She decides that she would risk it all for him and won't use birth control. She gives him her first blowjob, and it is horrible to have to watch or to have to read. He tells her she's a natural at giving blowjobs.
How is it that you've all encountered people who are like amazing at a blowjob the first time they done or whatever? Like,
oh, I know. Nothing is a skill. That was
like,
actually,
oh, you're so good at this, babe. Fuck off.
That was actually one of my irritations that, like, I can suspend disbelief for a lot of stuff, but why is it that everyone has instant sexual chemistry? Immediate.
And I'm not saying that some people
I've given
don't.
no blowjobs and I'm still the best.
I'm not
at it.
saying that no people don't or that some people aren't, but not every single one you've ever written a book about. Get fuck out of here. Some of them suck.
So, as a reward for her good cocksucking, he lets her listen to the Sinners Anonymous hotline, and she gets to choose who they'll punish this month.
Okay, see, that feels like letting a stranger, like, oh, your girlfriend sucked good dick, you let her stand and work in TSA? Like, what?
Yeah, he says she deserves it. She earned it.
You earned it, and you deserve it.
They go out on the town, and they happen upon the guy who poisoned Angelo's mom.
Of course.
Under the behest of his dad.
Of course.
His men snatch him up.
It's like happening upon Osama bin Laden. Like, oh, visiting you here.
Rory says, no, you stop. Let me watch. And it comes to pass that she watches him shoot the man. 1 month later, they're getting married. And he gives her a personal phone booth that she can confess to anytime she wants as a wedding present. From now on, she gets to choose the monthly sinners that the brothers are going to kill.
Okay, first off, if I was one of the brothers, I would not be cool with that.
I know, right?
Like, who is this bitch? Like, this was our thing. Mm-hmm. Also, what if one of them gets married and then that wife's like, why is she more special?
Maybe they'll rotate. Oh, it's my week. I get to choose.
Fucking weird.
The wedding is a big to-do. And then at the end, Rory has been accepted into flight school. and Angelo has an enormous erection. You did not react at all to my last one, and do you know how much...
I don't care.
Do you know how much self-restraint it took not to laugh?
Yes, I saw the face you made. That's the face you always make. It's awful.
He's just like, I've just got a hard-on. He's got a hard-on for her smart brain getting into flight school.
Or that fucking Selkie that was in the pond with the tuba boner for his whole life.
Where are they now?
In basketball.
Does Angelo still have the boner?
Probably.
How many children do they have?
Too many.
Did she get pregnant while in flight school?
Yes.
That's what she's like, I'm gonna risk it all for him. But then you got into school 5 minutes later.
First
So you're gonna be pregnant while in school?
Awful. We know several pilots that are just cranking out kids, and Thorne will come home and he'll be like...
Not females, though. Oh, women?
He'll come home and he'll be like...
Do they fly pregnant?
To a certain point.
Okay, where are they now? Where are they now? Alberto is dead. Where is Rory? Where is Angelo? Where is their relationship? Are they still together? Are they in therapy?
No.
Should they be in therapy? Yes. What is their marriage like? Do they have other couple friends?
No. No one would be friends with them. Absolutely.
Their
Not brothers won't even be friends with them. No. The brothers got married and their wives were like, we'll see them on holidays.
Why?
I don't want to hang out with them.
Because it's the boner?
Because
the obvious
she is
boner?
Absolutely insufferable. And she steals shit.
The erection he can't hide.
They don't mind him. They let him come over for Sundays or whatever, but she's insufferable. And she steals shit from their houses. She steals shit. She's a completely unlikable sister-in-law.
She doesn't have to steal anymore because now she has his money.
She doesn't steal because she needs money. She steals because she likes stealing. That's what magpies do.
Who is staffing the local Walgreens if she's none have to work?
If she none have to work?
If she not have to work. If she's in flight school, who's staffing Walgreens? So what I'm getting is that of these two people, you found Angelo to be much more tolerable than her.
He didn't do anything. He showed up halfway through. Like we learned nothing about him.
Okay, so
he just came and like offed people and was like, look at my show.
Here's the next piece. This is book 1 of 5.
Did her dad die? Oh my god!
Book 1 of 5. Are you gonna read the other one?
No!
You don't want to hear about their other erections?
I don't give a shit.
You don't want to know what the other hard-ons are like?
Named after each erection?
You don't want to know if their nipples tighten as well?
I don't.
The dad is alive. He has weird Alzheimer's where if he's outside, he can remember things, but if he's inside, he can't.
That's awful.
So that's why she was the Lorax.
Oh, she's like, we have to live outside.
That's why she was
me in a tent, boy.
She was the Lorax because he tried to get her to move to London with him because he was like, bitch, I've got a whole empire. Oh, and that's where he was when he left. She was like, you left me. And he's like, I had to move.
I have a job.
London.
You don't go to work. You don't have a job.
He said, I had 3 days. I went to London. I sold my $1 billion company. I sold my house. I moved back here, and I'm sorry if when I went overseas, my phone disconnected.
I'm 100% not sorry.
And she's like, oh, okay.
She doesn't go to work. She doesn't have a job. She wouldn't know these things.
He was so upset about it, and he was like, fucking sorry that I moved my whole life so I could marry you.
I hate a cunt who does that.
And so I just don't like the oh, we just met? Do you like pizza? I don't know, but we're married now. But I would kill for you after I just saw you.
He killed for her, not even for her, killed for himself, someone who ran into her from high school. So,
and he does kill all those weird perverts from her school.
See, that's different.
That's okay because she bit one of their ears off, so it was easy to find him.
It's easy to find. I was going to say the blind guy and the earless dude. Not as hard.
Thank you for listening to Read It and Screech. As always, if you'd like to support, you can rate, review, subscribe, and find us on TikTok at ScreecherPod. Here's the question. Which erection would you rather be stuck up against? The Selkies or Angela's?
Selkie.
The Selkie?
Selkie doesn't want anything.
The hot dog in the pond?
That man wants to be yeeted back into the ocean. I always assume that they had that the whole time, like this ice planet barbarian only people that walk around.
Or like that guy from the other Mountains Made of Glass.
Yeah.
Had an erection the whole time.